Hey ladies, I am Deepti Jain, and I help women entrepreneurs start and grow their businesses online. So, first of all, I wanted to wish all of you a very, very happy new year. Hope your holidays were wonderful, they were relaxing, and that you're filled with optimism for the upcoming year. So now, today I'm going to be talking about something very relevant to today's times, and that is setting goals. Okay, setting goals for ourselves for 2021 in terms of our business, in terms of what we want to achieve in our business. So, if you're joining me live, first of all, thank you and welcome. And go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell me where you're from and what kind of business you do. Now, whatever kind of business you do, even in my group, we've been chatting about this a little bit. So if you're part of that, you'll probably know. We are talking about setting goals. What kind of goals should we set in order to really make them count? Because, 99 times out of 100, here's what happens. You come up on December 31st or on January 1st with some goal and you say, I'm going to make this happen. And then, one of a few things happens. Either you don't know what you're trying to do, it kind of just is a statement you make and it never goes anywhere. Or it's something serious, but by the time 1 or 2 weeks even are gone, even by this time, where we're not even 1 week into the new year, we're kind of falling off the bandwagon already. You're like, yeah, I'm doing it tomorrow, right? One of those things. So we certainly don't want that to be happening. Hi, Yvette. Thank you for joining live. And I see that you're from Southern California. That's awesome. I'm in California too, except I'm in the northern part of California. So I think you and I are both blessed with amazing weather right now, especially for December. So can't really be complaining about that. But anyway, coming back to our business goals. So what I wanted to do today was to go into some detail on how we can set goals so that they are actually meaningful, so that they actually make a difference. And what I'm going to tell you today is not something by any means that I have come up with. It's something that I have learned. This is a really well-known way of setting goals. It's a methodology that's well known, but when I learned about it and when I started implementing it in my own business, I found it to be really useful. And so I thought I would share it all with you today. Okay. The way to set goals in a really meaningful way is to do it the smart way. And as you may have guessed, when I say smart, I don't just mean clever. I actually mean smart as an acronym for something. And we are going to go over what the S, the M, the A, the R, and the T are going to be. Okay? So let's start at the very beginning. Let's start with the S. Okay, because you want your goals to be SMART. It's an easy acronym to remember. And also, by the way, I do have a handout where you're watching this video. There should be a link to where you can go ahead and download that handout. It just tells you in a nice visual, fun sort of way what the SMART stands for. And then you can print it out and put it up on your wall or have it as a PDF on your computer that you can refer to easily. So there is a link right near where you're watching this video where you can download that. Okay, so the S. The S for the goals is specific. You want to set goals that are specific. And I'm going to give you a very specific example of what I mean by that. So many times when I ask people, right, hey, what are your goals for your business this year? They'll say something like, I want to make more money, okay? Now, at first glance, that's a very reasonable goal for a business. In fact, every for-profit business is going to have that goal, right? You want to make more money. Otherwise, what in the world are you doing in your business, right? So you say, I want to make more money. If that's your goal, here, I'll give you $1. You made more money. Is that it? Are you done? Of course not. That's not even what you meant, right? What is $1 going to do for you? Nothing. So your goal is not to make more money because it isn't specific enough. Okay, your goal is, for example, to say something like, I'm going to make 125% more revenue than I did last year. That is a specific goal. Or you can say, I'm going to get $10,000 in January. That is a specific goal. So The S in SMART stands for specific. Make your goal specific. You know exactly what you want. I'll give you another example actually, and I am very guilty of this, not just this year, but every single year. It's not a business related goal, but it drives the point home. Every year, come New Year, I say, I'm going to become healthier in my lifestyle. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to eat healthier. Is that specific enough? Tell me if you think that's specific enough. Because I'll tell you already, it's been 5 or 6 days now, right? Today is the 6th. 5 days now have gone by in 2021, and I can assure you I have done absolutely nothing about becoming healthier. I've just said, yeah, I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to exercise more. It doesn't mean anything, right? So that's the S of specific. Tell me in your comments, ladies, whether you're watching this live or on replay, tell me if this makes sense to you. Yes, Yvette, thank you for your comment. Yeah, it is not a specific goal. Now, so that's the S, okay? So your goals must be specific. Going on to the M. And that actually relates fairly closely in my mind to specific, although it's a little bit different. The M of your SMART goals has to be measurable. Your goal has to be measurable, okay? So again, vague things like I want to make more money, or I want to be more healthy, that is not going to, or I want to build a bigger team, that is not measurable. You want to build a bigger team? Tell me, how many people do you want your team to grow by? Okay, or how many people what size do you want your team to be by the end of the first quarter? Okay, that is a measurable goal. So have some numbers around it, have some way of measuring it, because only then you're going to know when you have achieved that goal, whether you've achieved it or you haven't achieved it, right? The measurement is critical for tracking your progress. And you know, when you track your progress, I've certainly found this to be true for me. When I track my progress, I have more of a motivation to reach that end goal because I can see it's coming close. So let's take an example, right? If you say that you want to build your team, and you want to build your team to be at least 5 people, you know, or you want to add 5 new members to your team, and say by the 5 new members to your team by the end of the first quarter of 2021, right? And when you reach 4 or when you reach 3, you start seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. You see that goal, you know, you can almost reach out and touch it, right? And that's when you drive yourself harder. You drive yourself harder because you can almost touch it. So let's go, let's finish, let's hit that finish line, right? So that measurability, that trackability is so important. So that's the M, okay? Make your goals measurable. Okay, the A. This one is actually an interesting one. We don't always think of it when we set our goals. Hey, welcome everyone who's joining now. I just wanted to really quickly say I am Deepti Jain, and I help women entrepreneurs start and grow their businesses online. And today, because it's the beginning of 2021, well, kind of, time flies, it's already almost, but not quite, the end of the first week of 2021. But anyway, since it's the new year and we're all setting goals and, you know, being optimistic about our businesses and about life, I wanted to talk about setting goals for your business in a way that matters, okay? All right. Okay, so Yvette is saying, I'm going to help 50 women on February's challenge. Specific, right? Yes, it is very specific, Yvette. I'm excited that you have a number in there, and you have actually something else in there too, which I'm going to talk about as we go through. So that is awesome, super specific, and I really hope you beat that goal. Okay, so coming back, we're going through how to set SMART goals, and SMART here is an acronym. We've gone over the S and the M. Now we are going to the A. So the A is interesting. The A stands for attainable or achievable, okay? Look, here's the deal. If I say today, my goal for 2021 is to become $1 billion business, it's not attainable. It is not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. So while it's awesome to think big, and I always encourage everyone, including myself, to think big, the goal has to be attainable, right? The goal has to be attainable. Tell me if you're on and you're watching, tell me if you agree with what I'm saying, because optimism has to be tempered with a dose of realism, okay? I'm going to give you another example of something that's completely unattainable, at least right now, by humanity as a whole. If I say my goal for 2021 is to go to Mars, it's not happening. I can tell you right now with certainty, it is not happening. Me going to Mars in 2021 is certainly not happening, right? So, the point here is that the goal that you're setting has to be attainable. It has to be achievable. Because when you set goals that are either just plain out not achievable by anyone, like going to Mars right now in 2021, or like my becoming $1 billion business, which I know is just not achievable by me in 2021, then what happens is they just become dreams rather than goals, okay? Because goals, you actually want to reach them. I mean, I always distinguish between dreams and goals, because dreams, I can dream of being a $1 billion business at some point and I can work towards it. But goals, I see them as something that I can reach out and touch, that I can make happen in the foreseeable future, like now. That is kind of a stepping stone towards my dream. Tell me if that makes sense to you. But anyway, so that was the A, okay? The A of SMART is achievable or attainable goals. So now we've gone through SMA, we're going to go on to R, relevant. Your goals have to be relevant. So we're talking in the context of your business. Your goals have to be relevant to your business, obviously. But also, I would say they have to do the micro alignments. They really have to be aligned with and relevant to the goal that you're going to try to reach right then. And sometimes this also ties into being focused, because sometimes what happens is, when you set goals, especially for a new year, and you're feeling really good about yourself, you'll start saying things like, oh, I also want to expand into this, and I want to expand into that, and I want to, do this, and this. But that's, again, while that might be on your roadmap, and I'm big on roadmaps, it's not really relevant to what you are immediately trying to achieve. So I interpret the R as relevant to what you want to do immediately. Again, like I said, I think of goals as micro steps towards the bigger dream, or micro steps towards on your roadmap. It's the next step forward. So set a goal that you can actually reach in the near future, okay? Again, if you're watching live, tell me where you're from. I love hearing where you're from. And also, if you're watching on replay, still tell me where you're from, because I'll respond in the comments or on my live right now if you're watching live. And it's fun to always connect with people, get to know them a little better. And you can tell me if you have any goals, if you've set any goals, what they are or what they were right before you started listening, and if you tried to make them any more concrete, any more smart by listening to this. So now, coming to T, or if you're going to try to make them any more concrete. And it'd be awesome, by the way, if you join our group. It's the Women Entrepreneurs Supporting Each Other group. And I have a link where you're watching this video above or below. I really want to say it's above right now. If you're watching this video on Facebook, it's above. And go ahead and click on that and join our group, because we carry on discussions like this in there. And we're going to carry this discussion on. And you can tell me in there how you're making your goals smarter, okay? Okay, so we've been through the SMAR. That leaves, yes, the T. The goals must be time-based. They must be time-based. You can't just say, I'm going to make my business more successful. Of course, that violates the SMAR, everything so far, but it also violates the T, because the question is, by when? By when? If you say, I'll get back to you, I'm going to say, by when? Okay. And one of the things I hate most, by the way, I read this somewhere and it really resonated with me so much. I hate ASAP, because when I say, oh, I'm going to do this ASAP, somebody says to me, I'll get back to you. And I say, by when? And you say to me, I'm going to get back to you, oh, ASAP. Like, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? That means nothing. It means you will get to it when you have nothing better going on in your life, nothing else that you prioritize above what you have promised me. And that is so not reassuring, right? So not reassuring. So the question is, or the point is, your goals have to be time-based. That is the T, okay? So tell me, if you say you're going to get back to me, tell me by tomorrow, by next week, by next month. Tell me something. Tell me, put a time frame on me and put a time frame on you, right? So when you're setting goals, put a time frame on yourself. So Yvette, I was saying to you, you had done something else really nice in that previous thing, because you said you are going to help 50 women in your challenge in February. You have put a time on it, and that time is the month of February. Beautiful, beautiful. You absolutely want to do that. So going back to some of our previous examples, right? If you want to make $10,000 by the end of January, the end of first quarter, the end of the year, whatever it is, put a time frame on it, because only then do your goals become truly specific and measurable. Specific, I always have trouble saying that word, is specific and measurable. Okay, so the T is your goals have to be time-based or timely or whatever. There has to be a time component to the goals. Don't just say I'm going to do it. Say by when, or put a beginning and an end. Put a time frame around that, and your goals become that much more achievable, powerful, more meaningful. Okay, so I really hope that helped you out, ladies, because when I set goals for my business, I like to set SMART goals, not just goals, but SMART goals. So come join me in my group if you aren't already in there, and we can continue this discussion there. It's totally free. It's a group of like-minded women, and it's women entrepreneurs supporting each other. You should be able to find a link to join right where you're watching this video. And also, if you just want a pretty looking handout, at least I think it's pretty, because I put the SMART in different cool, colorful little things, just my own fun way of reminding me and you of keeping your goals smart, and each of them says what they stand for. If you want to download that handout, it's completely free also, and there is a link to downloading it, but it is deeptijainconsulting.com/smartgoals. Okay, deeptijainconsulting.com/smartgoals. I hope you enjoyed that, and tell me in the comments below what goals you have and all that stuff. I really love getting to know all of you better. All right, I will be going live again next week, but beginning next week, by the way, I'm thinking of moving these lives to Tuesdays instead of to Wednesdays. So hopefully that time will work for you. Same time though, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Otherwise, you can always watch the replays. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found that helpful. Let me know in the comments below. And remember, ladies, we can and we will. Until next time, bye-bye.